Supernatural Season 11, Episode 19, The Chitters. Now, coming off of the break, once again we're in a filler episode, but I think it was another good filler episode. I know a lot of people may have been annoyed, and they did that a lot. I was really annoyed last season. I think I've mentioned that before. It was I'm pretty sure it was last season. So many seasons I'm already forgetting if it was the last season of the season before, but they did the filler thing where it was like, it got really annoying to me, but this time around, I think the fillers have actually been all really, really fun. Like, even though there've been quite a few fillers, and they always seem to be after the breaks too. We always have a big break, and then we come back on the fillers. Like, we never have a break and then come back on a main episode. And, like, the last two times, like this time they've done it, and the last time we had like a 2-week break, or when all the CW shows were doing that weird month-long break thing, they came back on the filler from that as well. So I definitely understand how people get annoyed by that. It's like, we come back after, weeks on end, and then it's like, here's a filler episode where, as usual, it's like, it's been weeks since we've had a lead, so let's do a random case. But once again, they had a pretty fun case. They had a new creature, which is very cool. It's the second time. I believe it's only the second time they've done that, because we recently had the Banshee, which is, once again, another great filler episode. So we've had a new creature, we had extra hunters, which we never have other hunters. That's such a rare thing. So I was glad that that was actually a big chunk of this episode, because it's so rare that we have, other hunters in the show. And if we do, it's always recurring characters. And unfortunately, like the two which we most recently had, and Bobby and Rufus, unfortunately they're both gone. So everyone else that we get is pretty much a random hunter. And it's kind of like, it's either going to be someone that dies, like in the case of Dean, when he killed that guy, when he was like, evil Dean is like, whatever, and he got that guy killed. Or it's actually really good, and they'll show up, and they'll help out, just like this episode, and it was actually really entertaining. We had two hunters, an actual couple of hunters, and, they're both going through, they both have really good lessons for both Sam and Dean, which I thought was very well done. And I just like the way they played it, because we have the flashback, in the beginning of the episode in '89. And so we have these two brothers, and the older brother gets killed, and the younger brother grows up to be a hunter. And so he's the one who lost his brother, so of course that applies to Sam as the younger brother. It applies to him more. And then we have Dean with the guy's husband. And, with him, it's like him being really messed up and going down the path of revenge, which he had because of his mother. He had that much longer than Sam did, at least as far as, truly realizing it. So he had that time where he knew what it was like beforehand, and, having that moment of, having her die and then living the rest of his life. So I like how they did that parallel when they're both driving around, and we got to hear the different stories between the two of them. So I thought that was actually really cool the way it played out. The creatures were interesting. The weird sort of backstory of them, and it's like weird orgy thing and stuff, which was actually accurate, because I thought it was, I didn't think that part of it was actually accurate. I just figured, the green eyes part, of course. But it turns out the orgy sex thing was actually a part of that, because they would breed and create the next generation. So I was like, oh, the orgy thing was actually true. I just thought, that's probably wrong, and the green eye thing is, what's accurate. But it turns out that the orgy stuff was true, so that was pretty funny when when they were doing the interrogation, and Dean's like, now did this like seem like an orgy type thing, or how was that going? So that was a really funny moment. Definitely had a lot of funny moments, because even when they were finding out what the story was, and that woman was looking at Sam, and it's just like, okay, things are really weird here. So that was a really funny scene as well. But overall, I think this was a really good episode. It was a really good filler episode, and it did great parallels for the characters. It was more sort of the overarching story more than it was like this season's story with Amara, Cass, and the Devil. So it was something that we've known for a long time, but it's every once in a while they find a way to add a new element to it, and I think this is a good way to do it, where we have this couple, and we have, the younger brother who's lost his older brother, and he's on this path of revenge, but he was, from his side of it, it was just, I lost my brother. Like, this is the one person I really had. He had some good scenes too. The guy who acted as him, he was like really tough and angry through most of it. But as soon as it was like, he was like when they confronted the older guy who kind of let everything go, and he had that like kind of breakdown. I thought that was a great scene. It was like, you made me think I was crazy, and everyone thought I was losing my mind. And he talks about how his mother was mad at him, like he was making up a story. I thought that was really well acted. I thought that was really good dialogue too. Like he was just completely destroyed, and then at the same time he was like kind of cast out from everybody because they all thought he was just making up this stupid story. And it was just crazy. I was like, man, that was kind of a really dark story for him, but it was really well done. And they had the scene where he finds his brother's body and stuff, and he just breaks down. I was like, these are really good moments. Like he's like this really angry character, and like this is his drive, it's his revenge. But when he gets to those certain moments, like he instantly breaks down because it takes him right back to when he was a little kid, and he lost the only person that cared about him. Because even in the flashback, they kind of make a point to show they had a pretty crappy life, and that they were gonna try to escape. Like his brother said, like as soon as I'm 18, we're leaving. Like I'm taking you, and we're getting out of here. So they made a point to do that really early on. So I love the way they had his story play out. Very sad, at the end, and he finds his brother's body, and, he finds the coin and stuff. But it was really good. And I like the way that it all played out, and he got his revenge. And, like Dean said, it doesn't exactly make you better, but, you kind of need it. Like, it's either going to drive you crazy, or you'll be in sort of, I guess, a neutral state. Like, you won't really be happy that you got your revenge, but you'll feel something. You'll feel a little bit of closure, at least. So I like the way it all played out. I was really glad his husband didn't die, because when he broke his leg, or his leg was at least injured, I was like, man, I hope they don't kill him off, because then it'll be super depressing at the end. Even if he got his revenge, it would be like that sort of bittersweet thing where it's like, was it worth my revenge to lose my husband? That type of thing. I was like, I was super happy that he didn't end up dying, because that's all I thought after his leg got injured. I was like, man, I hope they don't kill him, because it'll make the story depressing regardless of whether or not they end up destroying the creatures. So I was glad that didn't happen, and ultimately they finished everything. And for once, Sam and Dean actually talked about adding people like to the group, like, hey, we need help and stuff like that. But then when they talk about if they they made their pact, like if he got their revenge, then they would kind of hang up being hunters. And I thought that was cool, because I knew that wasn't going to happen. Like obviously they aren't going to add two new people permanently to the show, or like very often. I knew that wasn't going to be the case. So I was like, how are they going to get out of this? And they do it in the very next scene, and they do it really well, and it makes perfect sense. It was like, I got my revenge, and I don't really need to be a hunter. And Dean kind of lets it go, because he says, like, unless you guys need saving, and he just lets him go. It's like, no, you guys go ahead, because he'd much rather they reach the end of their road as hunters than die trying to help Sam and Dean. So I thought it was really cool. It's like, I love the way that they did that. It made perfect sense, because I'm like, I know they're not going to add these two guys permanently, as hunters. So there's going to be some way that they work around that. And it made perfect sense. He got his revenge, and he made a deal with his husband that he would just, let it go, and that they would hang up their boots as hunters. So I thought it was pretty cool that they kind of did it that way. And it all worked out for them, and they reached the end of their road. And Sam and Dean kind of continue on trying to figure out, how do they save Kaz? What exactly are they going to have to worry about with Amara? And what else? What other random crazy crap are they going to be dealing with? So I think it was a really good episode. I'm very excited for the next one, because they actually brought back the freaking plague from the beginning of the season, which I think everyone was disappointed that it was just like, oh, 2 episodes and it was done. Because that was like the whole big deal. I thought that was going to be the whole season. Like my whole thing was like, it's gonna be like the Croatoan virus and stuff for the whole season, and it was 2 episodes, and it was holy fire. Boom, we're good. Everybody's alive. Let's move on. So I'm really happy that that's coming back, because that was really crazy for people. It was easy to get infected, and they have the cure, so they might get infected and just be able to cure themselves, and it'll be a lot easier for them to cure other people as well. But it's still going to be an issue. Like, it's literally fog like rolling into the town, so it looks crazy, menacing and stuff. And I'm excited to see how that's going to play out later tonight. But this was a fun episode as well. Once again, I'm sure a lot of people were mad that it was a filler, but it's so much easier to hate a bad filler, which they had a couple of those, or at least kind of pseudo boring ones in last season. But I think all the fillers have been really good this season, and this was yet another one. At least to me, I thought it was really well done. Not just the parallels between, Sam and Dean and kind of, the stories that they've been hearing that are very familiar to them, just from another perspective. So outside of that, I still think it was really good. We got a new creature. We got, a pretty simple solution. I mean, once again, it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, just chop their heads off again. That's simple. Leviathans, Leviathans, you still have to melt them unless you, just put their head in a box. But Leviathans, vampires, lots of other things, just chop their heads off, keep on going. So I thought that was just kind of funny because it's like, alright, that's the solution. But it was a fun episode. It had its funny moments for sure. Without a doubt, it had its really silly moments, but it definitely had great emotional moments with the character. I can't think of the guy's name, unfortunately, but he had some really good emotional moments where it was like he's, really standoffish and tough, but when it came down to, when something triggered those emotions from his past, he would instantly break down. Like, he'd be really mad and he'd, come to tears. And I just thought it was really well acted and really well done. So, certainly enjoyed that stuff. Definitely a fun episode. But, of course, really want to know what you guys thought about it. So, please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And, of course, with us going back into the main story for the next episode, definitely want to know where you guys think that one's going to take us. Because it seems to really focus more on the actual darkness coming back and people getting infected and stuff. But obviously, it ended, the last main episode ended with Amara and Cass / Lucifer. And I thought that's where things were going to pick up because that's how they ended the little preview thing where it's like, oh, Amara has Lucifer and she's going to try to torture him to bring God out and stuff. And then, it went into a filler episode, unfortunately. But a good filler, fortunately. But I definitely want to know where you guys think this next episode is going to really take us. Like, what do you think it'll focus on more, I guess, is the big thing. Because it can certainly seem to focus a lot on some great elements. But who knows? It could be, like, mostly filler. And then maybe Amara shows up. And that's it. Like, I'm pretty sure she's in the episode. But if she's in, like, 10 minutes and most of it is them fighting off a bunch of infected people, that's basically another filler episode. But hopefully, it'll be a really good main story episode. We'll get to see exactly what's happening between Amara and Lucifer, and maybe we'll get to see inside of Cass's head and see what he's doing, if anything's changing in there. But definitely want to know what you guys think is going to be coming up with this next episode, and of course what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.